College basketball is back. And in this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, me and my brother James, we are going to share our thoughts on 6 freshmen that had fantastic debuts to start the 24-25 college basketball season. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board, and my co-host is none other than my brother James. I want to let you know before we get started that your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. So whichever team you support, whether it is Locked On Mavericks, Blazers, Knicks, Suns, the Locked On newsletter is one stop for ultimate team and league coverage, and it is delivered right to your inbox. So sign up for free at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com and start your day with the all-new and free Locked On newsletter. And before I get too deep into this episode, I also want to let you know that it is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop, because we're coming at you 5 days a week, covering college basketball and the rookies in the NBA. Last night was opening night of the 2024-25 college basketball season, which is expected to be an exciting season. I mean, this is the first year since, 22, that there's a debate for the number one pick, if you call it a debate. I'll just say this. The race is between players that we will get to see a couple of times a week playing college basketball. As you know, the last couple of years, from Scoot Henderson to Victor Wembanyama to Zachary Risachet to Alex Sarr, they were playing outside of the limelight of college basketball. But this year, college basketball is back. And let's start off with the player that is predicted to be the first one to shake Adam Silver's hand next June, Cooper Flagg. Flagg had a strong performance. Didn't really make his threes, but he had a game where he stuffed the stat sheet. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. What were your thoughts on Cooper's debut?
I was pleasantly surprised to see him on the perimeter handling the ball as much as he did. I like that. And I'm trying to figure out, again, it's obviously super early, but I'm trying to figure out at the NBA level, is he going to play a lot of 3? Or is he going to play a lot of 4? Or are we going to pigeonhole him into a position? I don't know. I got a comparison in my head, but I might want to hold on to that for right now.
Yeah, he is the epitome of positionless. I think that from the NBA level, you can use him in a variety of ways. I think in some lineups, he can be your small ball 5. Some lineups, he can be your 4. He can be your 3. He's shown the ability to initiate the offense, make plays out of ball screens. He had a play where he got a ball screen going left and came down the lane and got to his launching pad and took off and dunked. He was making live dribble passes. He exploits mismatches. There was a couple plays where he got the ball in the post and made quick spin moves, reverse layups. There was one possession where he got the ball, brought it up court, had a smaller man on him, didn't necessarily beat him off the dribble with shake and bake, tried to get to his bag, didn't have one, just said, I'm going to back him down. Backed him down and scored. I just think that he's a weapon that you can use in a variety of ways. He plays the passing lanes. The jump shot wasn't necessarily falling, but he still stuffed the stat sheet and just showed why there's so many people that are high on him.
You know what? I said I was going to hold on to the comparison, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out. It's early. Let's be the first one. And some people are not going to take this because the commentators yesterday were calling him generational. Do you think he's generational? Or is it too early to tell?
It's too early to tell. I mean, people throw that word around too loosely. I mean, at this time 2 years ago, people were saying Scoot Henderson is generational, and he's not even starting for the Portland Trailblazers, who aren't even 500 right now.
All right, so I'm not going to throw out generational. I am very, very pro Cooper Flagg, though. But his ability to play multiple positions, be an athlete, put the ball on the ground, create offense, be a 3 and a 4 reminds me a lot of what we see now today in Jalen Johnson for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't think Jalen Johnson is a household name yet, but he is cold at basketball. Will he ever be an all-star? I don't know, maybe. But like the way that the Hawks use Jalen Johnson, he can play the 4, he can play the 3, he can beat his man off the dribble, and you can use him as a primary ball handler. He's been basically playing backup point guard for the with guys out. So if Cooper Flagg is like a souped up version, I don't even want to necessarily say that because he's still young. But if he's like a souped up version of Jalen Johnson, you absolutely take that. I know Jalen Johnson before he sat down at Duke. I think he had a triple-double one game.
Yeah.
He showed you the whole entire package. He probably should have been a top 5 pick, but there were some other things holding him back. But just from that game that I saw yesterday against Maine, he looked like a hybrid 3-4 that can handle and also post if you put somebody smaller on him.
Yeah, plus the defense. I think he's a better shooter than Jalen Johnson, even though Jalen Johnson statistically shot the ball well at Duke. But it was a situation where I just did not believe in the shot. I mean,
here's the thing, though. Flagg didn't make a jump shot last night.
He didn't make a jump shot.
Going forward, if I'm guarding him in pick and roll, I'm not going over the top of any of those. I got to see him make a bunch of them before I go over the top.
Yeah, even though they were preseason games, well, especially the first one against Lincoln, he was making that jumper. I do think that he is a much improved shooter. But one of the things with Flagg is he makes you like reassess like your scouting report on him from 2 years ago when he first came on the scene. He was looking like a play finisher that showed some flashes here and there, but now he's like handling the ball. I mean, his ball handling duties the usage is pretty high. They trust him. If he gets the rebound, he can push it up court. They allow him to initiate the offense in the half court, making plays out of ball screens, live dribble passes. There was a play where he drove baseline and threw a one-hand live dribble pass to Knueppel. So, hey, he is impressive, and there's still room to grow. I mean, this wasn't one of his best games, but he shows you what he's capable of. All right, let's switch to his teammate, Kon Knueppel, a guy that is rising up draft boards. He has this unique story of a guy that it just feels like his stock and his buzz grew over the summer before he played a game. He was good in high school. I'm not saying that he was like this under the radar guy that people weren't talking about, but he definitely wasn't as hyped as some of the other players in this class. But around the time of the summer, you started hearing his name buzzing about how he could be a first round pick. Then you start hearing lottery pick, and then you start hearing, man, he's going to be Duke's leading scorer. And so far, we're only one game in. He looks like he's going to be a dynamite offensive weapon for Duke. And he had a strong game. What did you think about his overall performance?
I mean, he can flat out shoot the basketball. Like that's evident. It was obvious watching his AAU film. I was watching it in high school, and it's obvious at this level too. Like if he gets his feet set and he gets a wide open look, I'm running down the court thinking like, all right, it's gonna go in. Every shot he shoots looks like it's gonna go in. He has enough off the dribble to get to the basket. And he plays off of 2 feet, strong frame. I heard the commentators last night, they mentioned ESPN has him at 6. 6 is a little too high for me. I do have my concerns about him, and you won't see it early on until he plays somebody of a larger stature. No disrespect to Maine, but I do have concerns about him like defensively, as far as like defending in space. But on offense, I know exactly what I'm going to get from him. Making shots, chase him off the line, he's good enough to finish. He did miss a few layups yesterday, so maybe that's something to like monitor because again, the scouting report obviously is going to be chasing off the line and making him put the ball on the ground. But as far as just catching and shooting on the move, he's top tier.
He had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, made 8 of 14 from the floor, 3 of 8 from From deep, I actually have him at number 8 on my board right now. I thought he was impressive. I mean, he's been impressive in their 2 preseason games. He had a blow-by layup. He's physical. You put a small guard on, he's not blowing by you, but he's running through you, and not running through you in like an out of control way. It's if he gets that shoulder on you, he's getting to a spot. Very confident, made a movement 3. He had a transition 3 where he got fouled. He's attacked closeouts. I think that he's probably going to be Duke's leading scorer this year, which is totally fine. I mean, Duke is going to be, they have some options this year.
You got him going over Noah Esingeh?
Yeah. Yeah, I have him at number 8. I mean, right now in a matchup, he would punish Noah.
He would punish. No, we're talking about at the next level.
But he has a defined skill set right now. Like, I like Noah, but Kon has a defined skill set. Noah could be better long term, but we'll talk about that in another episode. All right, when we return, we got to talk about Will Riley, a guy that I have not been the highest on, but when I say he looked dominant last night, 31 points, we're going to talk about Will Riley. We're going to talk about Asa Newell, Derik Queen, and Tre Johnson. But before we get into the second segment, I want to talk to you about our new sponsor, Built Rewards. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent every month. Pay your rent on time and watch the Built points roll in. You can use points to jet off on a dream vacation. You can put your points toward a flight or hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and over 700,000 hotels and properties. You can use your points to book fitness studio classes. You can redeem them towards a future rent payment. They are designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. So you can earn points by paying your rent right now when you go and join built.com/lockedonnba. That is join built.com, joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure that you use our URL so they know that we sent you. Join built.com and start earning points with your rent payments today, because it is the 5th and rent is due today. Next, I want to talk about Game Time, which is my favorite app when it comes to purchasing tickets. And Game Time is not just for sporting events. It's comedy, theaters, plays, and more. What I love about the Game Time app is you can toggle a feature that allows you to see the total cost up front where there are no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time also gives you a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. And then Game Time also has a lowest price guarantee. If you find something cheaper, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use the redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. All right. Second segment. Let's talk about Illinois freshman Will Riley. He put on a shooting display, 31 points, 10 of 13 from the floor, made 5 of 6 from 3. He also chipped in 7 rebounds and 3 assists. He scored in a variety of ways. So I want to hear your thoughts on Will Riley.
Man, it felt like he made every shot. We saw great size, catch and shoot, got to the foul line because I think he got fouled twice shooting threes. He has enough off the dribble to get to his spot, which is probably a pull-up. He did have a transition finish, Euro step. Long, lanky wing, so I think he's going to need to put on some strength. I will say this, from what I've seen from Will Riley, that was probably the most disciplined shot selection that I've seen from him, because normally he just gets them up, and he looked like J.R. Smith that one game where he broke them over and shot 22 threes, and now it's just kind of like, what? But now Will Riley is good, man, and he came off the bench, clearly didn't bother him. He got loose, very good shooter. I think he's a top 20 pick at the end of the draft cycle.
So I had him outside of my top 25, but I have him in my top 30. Be honest, I haven't been the biggest Will Riley fan because the shot selection is weird in a sense, because I like Ace Bailey. Will Riley's shot selection just had turned me off. I knew that he was capable of scoring and getting hot and scoring in bunches. I had some concerns about the athleticism. I don't think he's like a great athlete, which you don't have to be a great athlete. You can make up for that. But a lot of the things that I had in my mind as red flags about him, I don't have any complaints based on how he played yesterday. Even though when he got hot, he did take a couple heat check shots. There was a heat check transition three, but hey, I can't be mad at it. My man was on fire. He did have a nice like snatch back pull up jumper. I mean, the size is intriguing. The size, the shot making, and the ability to just do what he did last night, which was get hot and score in bunches. Obviously, I don't think 31 points on 10 of 13 is sustainable, but maybe I was a little bit lower on Will Riley. Maybe. I mean, there's a few guys. It's one game. I don't want to overreact off of one game, whether it's, a guy played really, really bad, VJ Eshko, or a guy played really good, but Will Riley's performance was impressive. So have to give him a shout out for having a great game. All right. Asa Newell, a guy that I'm high on. He's also outside of my top 25, but he's in my top 30. And he did what I expected from him. Live body, excellent motor, bouncy vertical lob threat. I mean, he's got the epitome of what you call pogo stick bounce. I mean, it is quick. My question is, and I actually talked to someone close to him. I had to give them a call before this episode. I'm like, what position is he? Is he a 4 or a 5? What are your thoughts?
I think he is a 5, and not in a negative way, because you get him at, like you mentioned, pogo stick, vertical pop is there. It's there in traffic too. So like, if he got the offensive rebound, he was going straight up and dunking. That was a green flag. He had 2 really impressive plays. He had a play in transition where he pushed the ball, banged out. That's great. And then he also had a touch shot, I believe, at the SEC logo, which is like a step or two inside of the foul line. I think he's a 5 because I feel like that's going to be his best position long term. He did airball a couple threes. Yeah, I think the 3-ball is a work in progress. I do believe in my notes, I think he is a good passer, because playing with that team at Montverde, you have to be a good passer. Everybody on that team got loose last night that played college basketball. So he is a good passer. I think long-term he's a 5. He's really, really good. And I want to see the 5 position in this draft is going to be interesting to see where these GMs go, because Malu Walsh, we didn't get to talk about, he is going to ride some of that momentum he had from the summertime playing for South Sudan, right? Zurkowski is like 7'3", so he's going to have some momentum, but I don't think he's somebody you throw the ball to on the block. And then you got guys like Asa Newell, who are kind of like hybrid 4 or 5s. We got my man Derik Queen, who we're going to talk about. I can't wait to talk about Derik Queen. So it's interesting to see what the 5 is going to look like in the draft next year. Who's the first 5 off the board?
You got Hanson Yang, who brings a different dynamic to it. Then there's a guy in Italy named Mo Fei, who's played really, really good. He's only 19 years old. So, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of different 5s. One of my questions is, where are they going to find minutes at? Because there are teams right now in the NBA that have too many 5s. I mean, Donovan Klingen's not playing right now. I don't know where Portland can dump Ayton. But Newell had 26 points, 11 rebounds, 6 on the offensive glass. He also had 3 blocks and a steal. It's just, my concern is he a 5? I think that he's thin. He's obviously going to have to bulk up, which I think is not going to be a problem. But one of my questions that I had coming into the season and he addressed them against Tennessee Tech. Was I wanted to know how good of a rim protector is he? Because when he played at Montverde last year with Cooper Flagg, Cooper was cleaning up everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see how well he protects the rim. I knew that he could rebound. Like, he was a guy that you couldn't necessarily judge by his rebounding numbers at Montverde because he played with, I mean, the team was so talented. You couldn't just judge him just based off of the production. But he showed me something. Like, I knew he was a good passer, and I like how Georgia is running some actions for him to get him the ball at like the elbow, the left elbow. So it's like they'll run a set where he gets the ball at the elbow. Then it could turn into a DHO with someone coming from the corner. And then that DHO, if it's not there, then it could turn into he gives the ball to the guard, and then that turns into a pick and roll. And when he gets the ball in the pick and roll, he does show flashes of having the soft touch finish, but he's also showed that he has the vision to be like a good short roll passer. So I think he's going to be a weapon. He's going to play some 4 with the big fella's name that's there at Georgia, but I think he's a 5. I think he's a weapon as a 5, especially if he can make threes. But I'm curious to see if he can show some ball handling to maybe you could play him at the 4. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing from Newell in 24-25.
Yeah, I'm all for guys playing the position that they have the best advantage at. And sometimes it's the 4s. I mean, listen, I said, sorry, you need to play the 5. And you see he's starting to play his best basketball at the 5. But, I mean, what do I know?
Yep. All right, when we return, we're going to wrap up this episode on Derik Queen and Tre Johnson, 2 guys that James is extremely high on. But before we get into the last segment, let's talk about FanDuel. You can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play, so much more. And it is on the same app where you placed your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, let's talk about Hims, because Hims is changing healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. Just answer a series of questions on the site, and the medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication will ship directly to you, and it's in a discreet package, and it's for free. No insurance is needed, and the low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That is HIMS/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. All righty. I'm gonna just leave it up to you. Man. Derik Queen. He had a historic performance.
Move my dreads real quick.
A historic performance. I'm gonna say it again. Historic performance, 22 points and 20 rebounds. The floor is yours.
First of all, where did you have him on your big board, Ralph?
Derik Queen is so. Shameless plug here. I released my big board 1.0, but I just put out the top 25 players because I'm going to break it up into 2. And so 26, I was going to do 26 through 50, but then I got to 50 and there was a couple of guys that I still didn't have on there. He's in part 2. I have Derik Queen at number 29.
All right, I'll address that in another episode. Derik Queen is cold at basketball,
I'm
right?
not disputing that.
If his name was, I mentioned it, we did the mock draft. If his name was Derik Quinovic from Serbia, maybe people would be higher on him.
Speaking of that, I said that last year about Tyler Smith, and I got accused for being a racist. Someone literally accused me of being a racist, and then they blocked me, so I couldn't even respond. So
listen, it's not even like that. I'm telling you this. Derik Queen has extreme skill level at the 5 position. And he only had 1 assist last night, right? He threw a couple aired passes. It happens, but the playmaking is there. You didn't see it last night, but trust me, listeners, it is there, right? He seals. He's got back to the basket game. He missed a couple of jump shots, but again, if you dig deeper into his high school film, his AAU film, he's a willing shooter, disciplined shooter too. He shot, I think, 1 last night. Turned down a couple other ones. He is legit. Rebound and push. He did it multiple times last night. And I'm talking like not waving off point guards. I'm talking like the point guard understands, like, oh, Big Queen has the ball. Let me go run. Let me go fill the lane. Try to take somebody off the dribble. He did turn the ball over, but he did. I think he hit the 4-man who did the rim run. He grabbed a rebound off the glass, hit the 4-man on the rim run. That was layup. He had a play where he lost his shoe. Put his shoe back on. Ball came back down to him. He Euro stepped a guard and finished in the paint for the and one. Again, 22 and 20. Like, I think he played extremely well, but he didn't even show you the full bag.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Dude is cold.
Here's my issue with Derik Queen, and I like Derik Queen. If I made a list of just my favorite players, he would be much higher. The concern I have with Derik Queen on how it relates to the NBA is when I think of a 5, I think a 5 either has to be your guy that can anchor the defense or be a dynamic offensive threat and floor spacer. And so when you look at the 5s in the NBA, they usually fill one of those roles. Either you anchor the defense, or if you're an offensive player, you have to be inside and out. So I do think that Queen has the passing and he has the offense on the inside, but I would like to see if he can be a good enough floor spacer. If he can space the floor, then maybe he can be a Şengün type.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think, but Şengün, when I see a Şengün, like, he's taking 2 threes a game. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a floor spacer. He shoots enough to keep the defense honest.
Exactly.
But all of his work and his best work is on the elbows, in dribble handoff, and on the box. That's what I see from Derik Queen. I don't necessarily need him to be shooting 3 threes a game. Get up 2 and go be great at what you're great at, which is being physical. And like I said, man, he didn't even show you a glimpse of all of the tools that he has in the tool bag. He just needed a wrench, and he got the job done.
Yeah, no, I love Derik Queen on the offensive end. You know me, I love post play. I mean, Zach Randolph is like one of my all-time favorite players. I was about to say, you can't see in the background, but I got an autograph Zebo picture in a frame. Derik Queen is the type of player that I love to watch. Quick post-up moves, excellent feel. He's got the, if I can feel you, I'm going to kill you in this game. If you lean on one shoulder, he's spinning off you. Excellent feel as a low post scorer. He can put the ball on the floor.
Face-up game, too.
Face-up game. Excellent
ball handling.
He's quick off his feet.
Very quick.
He's nimble. He rebounds out of his area. It's like he's this, you want to label him as a below-the-rim finisher, but he's a good athlete. I mean,
so what I'm saying, what are we talking? Where is the confusion? If you told me that this dude is the black Şengün is going what, top 5, top 4 in that redraft?
Yeah, and I thought he should have went higher. And my comparison for Şengün out of when he was playing for I can't think of the name of the team, but the team in Turkey, I was like, and there's a video, if you look it up on YouTube, there's a video that I did where I'm like, Şengün is like Al Jefferson 2.0.
Yeah,
he was the new Al Jefferson. But some people still have issues with Şengün because he doesn't anchor the defense. And to me, he should have got a max. I mean, 185, I'll take 185, but I feel like Houston lowballed him. And then there's times where, Udoka doesn't even play him. Like there was a game a couple of days ago, he didn't play him.
Man, listen, all I know is this. Dude, Şengün is getting paid big time money. He's a big time player, borderline all-star. When it's all said and done, when these older dudes finally retire from the NBA, he will have a few all-star appearances, I think. I feel like if you don't have Derik Queen in your top 10, I think you're overthinking it.
Yeah, no, I think the production is going to be there. All right, let's wrap up with Tre.
Let me do the trades again, right? Hold on, let me cook. I told you about Tre Johnson. What year was that? 17? No, I wasn't 17.
It's like 3 years ago.
Let's say it was 4 years ago. Yeah, I told you about this dude 4 years ago. Skinny sophomore. I was like, yo, that's an NBA player right there. He steps on the scene at Texas. Listen, he had the most, next to Queen, he was the most impressive player last
Will Riley?
No, he was more impressive than Will Riley. Will Riley, he's no disrespect to Will Riley. They beat a team by like 40 points, right? Yeah. And that game was over before it was probably started.
And he was playing when they were still up by like 40.
Yeah, and he was up when they were up 40. My man, Tre Johnson, got loose against a power, whatever, a Big Ten team, Ohio State, right? You saw movement threes. You saw quick catch and shoot threes. You saw isolation threes. You saw 2-dribble pull-ups. Like, you saw court vision. He had a play where he got downhill, got to the paint, hit the roll man. He had a mean. There was another pass he made in transition. He is a scorer. I've been told you that. Big time scores over. I just have one.
You make it seem like I've never doubted Tre Johnson from the time I've seen him. You keep saying I told you like I wasn't a believer.
I made you a believer though. I put you on. That's all I'm trying to say.
You told me about him early, but I've been a believer ever since I saw him. He's one of my favorite players. I have him number 7.
Okay.
See, I have him number 7, and I think he could be a player that can creep up into the top 5. And real quick, we'll end on this.
Top 3 could be.
So I had posted my Big Board 1.0. I posted the graphic. And if you're not subscribed to NBABigBoard.com, please subscribe. You can see my breakdown on my top 25 players, and it's a lot of words, but I broke it down of what I want to see from each player in 2025. So I posted the graphic on Twitter yesterday, and it just had like the guys ranking by numbers. So I get a call this morning from a scout, and he tells me like I'm spot on with Tre Johnson, but he thinks he could go higher. And I say, yeah, I think he can too. So the scout tells me that he went to a Baylor practice, and then he went to a UT practice, University of Texas practice. He went to both of them in like back-to-back days. And he said that everyone has VJ Edgecombe higher, but he said watching them practice, he said there was night and day difference over who is the better player. Now, of course, VJ was awful last night, and it just seems like he's been a prisoner of the moment. But this is what he told me this morning. His view isn't just based off of their performances in the game. It's just based off of practice. And this is a scout that told me, I want to say he told me in July that he thought VJ Edgecombe outside of Cooper Flagg was the safest player in the 2025 draft. And now based off of practices and one game, still early, he thinks that Tre Johnson is the better prospect.
My real quick last thing, and I've mentioned it before talking about Tre Johnson. Once he figures out getting to the rack consistently, he can go, I think he can go as high as 3. Because he does almost everything else at an extremely high level, right? And he figures that out because he is very jump shot reliant. But if he figures out just angles and turning the corner and getting fouled, again, it was one game. I'm not talking about just this one game last night, but just in general, special.
No, he is a professional scorer. Like professional scorer. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, where we talked about some of the top freshman debuts. But once again, it's Rafael Barlowe with my brother James. Please make sure you check out the Locked On newsletter covering your favorite team. You can check it out at lockedondaily.com and sign up whoever your favorite team is, because it is the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Stay tuned for the next episode where we cover some of the top performances. So it will be Rookie Watch Volume 7, because there were 100 games last night between college and the NBA. So we got to take a quick break so I can catch up on the film.
On top of daylight savings time, man.
And James, and we are out of here.